We're now 2 weeks officially in the books in terms of Saints practices at OTAs, and we've had 2 Saints practices open to the media. And while the quarterback competition between second-year quarterback Spencer Rattler and rookie second-round pick quarterback Tyler Shough has been the main storyline, there may be a rookie who the Saints drafted this year who has been standing out at these practices and taking advantage of a premium opportunity that has presented itself to him. My name's Cash, and before we dive into that and which rookie has been standing out, I'd appreciate it if you would take 5 seconds to subscribe, help support the channel. We just hit 10K. Shout out to you guys are awesome. Thank you for that. Now let's aim to hit 15K by the end of the year. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to stay up to date with all Saints and NFL content that we'll be posting here daily. The New Orleans Saints may have found a solid piece in the NFL draft, as one of their rookies has been standing out at OTAs to this point. And no, I'm not talking about second-round pick Tyler Shough. I'm talking about linebacker Danny Stutsman, the Saints' first pick of day 3 of the NFL draft in the 4th round. And honestly, Danny Stutsman has been one of my personal favorite picks from the draft, and he might actually be my favorite in terms of just from draft night. Obviously, over time that might change, but he's someone who's coming into the building as a rookie, and he's been standing out for the Saints so far throughout the first few weeks of OTAs. Now, in terms of rookies showing out, Kelvin Banks can't really do too much. There's no pads, there's no contact, so he can't really stand out. Tyler Shough obviously is someone who we've been talking about quite a bit. Vernon Broughton's a defensive lineman. He can't really stand out, no contact or anything. They're just kind of going through drills and individual work there, and no pads. So you can't really evaluate Banks or Broughton. Jonas Sanker has been getting in rotation. There hasn't been a whole lot about him. Stutsman is who we're talking about today. Quincy Riley had a procedure done recently, so he's been kind of out and not being able to participate in practice, but it's not expected to be anything major. Devin Neal, haven't heard too much about him, although there is footage of him doing a drill and he seemed to have struggled with it, but some of the other guys looked pretty solid with it. It could just be a rookie figuring things out. There's been a little bit about Malachi Matavo, although not a whole lot, and same with Fiddle Diggs, defensive lineman, not a whole lot for him to really do in OTAs without pads or contact. So through these first few weeks of OTAs with Danny Stutsman showing out, it is important to take this with a grain of salt. There is no pads, there is no contact, there's no pressure on the quarterback, and the defense are missing some guys. But I think it is important to note that there is a rookie on this team who they drafted who's taken advantage of an opportunity, and he's looking pretty good. So far at OTA, Saints starting linebacker Demario Davis has not been present, at least for the 2 open sessions to the media. There's been photos and videos of Demario Davis at some of the other practices that were not open to the media, but at the 2 media availability practices, Demario Davis was not there. With Demario Davis not being there, this opened up an opportunity for Danny Stutsman, the rookie linebacker, to fill in and get some real opportunity to showcase what he could do with the first team defense. Mike Triplett of New Orleans.Football said that with Demario Davis absent on Thursday of last week, rookie linebacker Danny Stutsman got a lot of work with the first team defense. Obviously, that's pretty big news for a rookie and a really good opportunity of him getting a lot of playing time and a lot of reps and a lot of practice with the starting defense. These are valuable reps for a rookie. Obviously, you would like to have everyone there, all the veterans there. They are voluntary workouts, but with the veterans not necessarily being there every single day, this is opening up opportunities for the younger guys to get more reps throughout the practices, and especially for a day 3 pick like Danny Stutsman, a 4th round pick, especially for a day 3 pick, getting valuable reps with the first team defense. You don't really see that too often. A month into their tenure, he was drafted late April. Now here we are in June, and he's getting reps with the first team defense. That is a pretty positive sign. Based on what reports have said, Danny Stutsman has made some pretty nice plays in coverage. And again, it's OTAs. There's no running ball, there's no pads, there's not a whole lot of contact. They're going 100%, but not fully 100% because they're not in pads. So take it with a grain of salt. But one of the things about Danny Stutsman that people had a knock on him coming into the draft and coming into the NFL was that he was not really good as a coverage linebacker. And during OTAs, it's 7-on-7s, meaning that it is nothing but coverage for the defense because they're only doing passing plays. Danny Stutsman in college was a really good run defender, a tackling machine, a guy who really read the defense, but pass coverage was an issue of his that needed to be developed and worked upon. But so far throughout these first sessions at OTAs, he's actually been doing quite well in coverage, showcasing some promise in what he could do. Ross Jackson was covering the quarterback competition, and for Tyler Shough, there was a play where he was rolling out left and looked for Cedric Wilson on the left sideline. Many have said it was actually his best throw of the day, despite it being incomplete and him throwing 2 60-yard touchdowns. but the incomplete pass to Cedric Wilson in a scramble drill had Danny Stutsman in coverage. He was rolling with wide receiver Cedric Wilson as a rookie linebacker, and he was able to break up the pass. We'll get more into that in just a moment. And then there's another one from Danny Stutsman down here. Tyler Shough had an incomplete pass to running back Clyde Edwards-Helaire in the flats, with Terrell Burgess, the safety, and linebacker Danny Stutsman in coverage, there to force an incompletion and be there to play the defense and make sure the play wasn't completed. So he's doing his job. He's kind of over the field. The fact that he was able to keep up with wide receiver Cedric Wilson, though, I think is a positive sign for him and a not so positive sign for the wide receiver. Nick Underhill of New Orleans.Football also posted this YouTube short talking about Danny Stutsman with some positive feedback on the Nickcast on his website. This is their YouTube short that they posted recently.
Danny Stutsman looks like somebody that could be a player. The range on that pass that he broke up to Cedric Wilson up the sideline stood out. He's kind of flying around out there. Looks like he's picking things up quick.
Flying around to someone who's everywhere all the time, making tackles, making his presence known. And during this portion of OTAs, during this portion of the offseason, making your presence known is the best thing you could do, at least if you're making your presence known in a positive way. Picking things up quickly, picking up the playbook quickly is important. We saw last year Kendra Miller struggle to pick up the playbook and stuff like that. Danny Stutsman seems like a smart guy. He's getting into the lab and he's picking things up quickly. And Demario Davis hasn't really been there that we know of. Maybe he's helping him pick it up, but some positive feedback there.
Looks like a pretty decent find. Like, we'll see how it progresses, but he's very quickly made you kind of forget even the potential of some of the other guys that they have at that position. Like,
I like Nephi Sewell. I thought he was someone who deserved to get more playing time and more reps, but he just jumped over him. Jalen Ford is someone they took with a 5th round pick last season. He was a good player in college, but he's not getting an opportunity. I think didn't he break his leg or something versus the Broncos or something? But yeah, he's at the top of the depth chart, right underneath DeMario and Pete Werner as a 4th round pick.
Like Jalen Ford was a decently high draft pick. Like, it's helped you kind of move on like kind of quick. It's kind of crazy. He's up there. DeMario not playing, he's rolling with the ones. I think Danny Stutsman has a chance. Again, we've seen 2 practices.
Yeah, take that in mind. 2 practices, and on top of that, there's no pads, there's no contact, there's no offensive linemen. It's a lot different 7-on-7s than it is 11-on-11. So take everything with a grain of salt. I'm not trying to overhype him, but I think it's positive feedback and news that we're getting some good looks at one of the rookies who the Saints drafted, because their drafting over the past few years has not been good. So I'm enjoying the linebacker Danny Stutsman showing out right now.
No contact, no whatever, but like, I think Danny Stutsman has a chance to be a good player. I like what we're seeing so far. Kind of one of the exciting guys out of this class.
As things stand right now, he's probably the 3rd linebacker behind Demario Davis and Pete Werner. He probably is not going to jump them, at least for right now, unless there's an injury. During the first week of OTAs, Nephi Sewell was getting some reps with the first team defense instead of Danny Stutsman, but then that obviously changed going into week 2. It'll be hard initially for Danny Stutsman to likely get valuable playing time early on, especially with Pete Werner and Demario Davis ahead of him, but he'll be linebacker 3. I'm sure they'll get him in on some rotation. Maybe they'll putting him on running plays or put him in as a blitzer or something like that for certain packages. But there might be something to build upon him for the future. Demario Davis, of course, is aging. He's not going to be able to be good forever. We have started to see him decline a little bit, and at some point he is going to have to retire. He said he wants to play like 3 more years or something. Realistically, I don't know if that's possible. Pete Werner is someone who is a solid linebacker, but he's not flashy. He'll make the tackle, but he's not going to get a pick. He's not going to force a fumble. He's not going to get his TFLs. He's just going to make the run stuff, and that'll be that. But maybe Danny Stutsman can get in the rotation, start making some plays, and eventually maybe take over. Maybe for Pete Werner, maybe for Demario Davis if he starts showing a decline. And if he can continue to improve upon his pass coverage, that's something that could really put him over the edge of one of those 2 guys for sure. I think Demario's pass coverage is a little bit slower than it used to be and not as good as it once was. Pete Werner, he's in pass coverage. So if Danny Stutsman can keep up what he's been doing so far at OTAs, that could really give him an edge. And on top of that, he was drafted to help the Saints with the run defense, which was ranked at the bottom of the NFL last season. So if he can be a really good run defender and keep improving his pass coverage, there might be a role for him on this team to be playing here, and he might be a pretty good player. The Saints right now could use some young talent, especially on the defensive side of the ball. It feels like there's not really a whole lot of building blocks to build upon right there. Alontae Taylor has talent, but he's never really been able to put it all together. Brian Brzee, good pass rusher, but it doesn't feel like he's as dominant as he should be. He's not a good run defender. It doesn't really feel like there's any building blocks or building pieces of a foundation on the defensive side of the ball. But if he could be good and be a stud for the team, be exciting, that would be excellent, of course. And especially at the cost of a 4th round pick on day 3, getting a foundational, good young player on the team would be a massive win. We will, of course, have to see how he does this Thursday at the next Saints OTA open to the media. I believe this is the last OTA before we have minicamp next week, and since that is mandatory, everyone should be there. And maybe at this next OTA, if Demario Davis still isn't there, he'll get first team reps again, which is very valuable for him. Regardless though, I think it's a positive sign that a guy who is known for being a good run defender and not really a coverage guy is standing out as a coverage linebacker during 7-on-7s, covering wide receivers, breaking up passes across the field, being everywhere, making his presence known, picking up the playbook pretty quickly. I'm going to take that as a win for right now. Obviously, grain of salt, no contact, no linemen. We'll have to see how this really comes together come training camp in the preseason and the regular season, but it's a good start for the rookie linebacker, Danny Stutsman. Let me know down in the comments what you make of Danny Stutsman showing out throughout the first 2 practices and 2 weeks of OTAs. I think it's a positive sign for sure. Should he overtake Pete Werner at some point? Let me know if you think that should happen. Make sure you're subscribed to stay up to date with all Saints and NFL content we'll be posting here daily. I appreciate it if you made it this far. My name's Kaj and I'll catch you next time. Have a good one. Peace.